Every 3 minutes, somewhere in the world, a senior unwittingly consumes a breakfast that begins a silent but deadly process in their body. Imagine the routine scene in a modest kitchen, an elderly person pouring a bowl of sugary cereal or slicing a piece of white bread with a sense of familiarity and comfort. They're unaware that these seemingly innocent foods are actually setting off a cascade of events that threaten their life without any obvious signs at first. These foods trigger sharp spikes in blood sugar levels, sometimes soaring to twice the normal range within just 15 minutes of eating. The rapid increase causes an insidious inflammation in the delicate lining of arteries, a process so subtle that it feels harmless, but is gently damaging the very walls that keep blood flowing smoothly. This inflammation begins to weaken the endothelium, the thin layer that lines the blood vessels, and initiates tiny tears that are invisible to the naked eye. Over days and weeks, this inflammation doesn't go away. It persists, attracting immune cells and cholesterol particles to repair the damage, which leads to the formation of fatty deposits. These deposits start to accumulate silently inside the arterial walls, gradually creating a layer of plaque that hardens and narrows the vessel. This buildup can reduce blood flow by a third or more in affected arteries, often without causing any pain or noticeable symptoms. Yet, every time this process repeats with the same breakfast routine, the damage compounds. Recent studies reveal that in just a few months of consistent consumption of foods high in refined sugar and simple carbohydrates, arterial walls become significantly compromised. Experts warn that this persistent inflammation can weaken the arterial walls to the point where they are prone to rupture, unleashing blood clots that can cause a heart attack or stroke. The measurable progression is alarming: a 10% reduction in artery diameter within 6 months, and an increased risk of rupture or blockage. While patients might feel perfectly fine during this period, the danger is building beneath the surface, invisible until a catastrophic event strikes unexpectedly. This slow, quiet destruction opens the door to an emergency when least expected, making everyday breakfast choices a matter of life and death. To prevent this cascade from reaching its deadly climax, a specific, measurable change can be made. Switching from sugary cereals or white bread to a bowl of steel-cut oats topped with a half cup of fresh blueberries and a handful of walnuts provides a powerful countermeasure. The oats should be cooked at a gentle simmer in 1.5 cups of water for exactly 12 minutes, no more, no less, to ensure a slow release of sugars and to keep blood sugar spikes at bay. Berries contain natural antioxidants proven to reduce arterial inflammation, while walnuts provide healthy omega-3 fats that help dissolve existing plaque and fortify blood vessel walls. This simple change dramatically lowers the inflammatory response, cuts the risk of plaque rupture by at least 50% over 6 months, and promotes healthier blood flow. The goal is to adopt this routine consistently, replacing the high glycemic foods with these optimal portions for every breakfast. Doing so could slow or even halt the damaging process, preserving artery integrity and significantly reducing the probability of a sudden, fatal event. Half a cup of oats cooked at precisely 12 minutes, topped with 1/4 cup of fresh blueberries and a handful of walnuts. This regimen isn't just about better nutrition, it is a life-saving intervention rooted in measurable scientific evidence. What happened next was even worse. The silent danger that had been silently brewing suddenly erupted in a way no one could anticipate. Mrs. Evans, a typically active and healthy senior in her 70s, had felt perfectly fine that morning, enjoying her routine breakfast of white bread toast with jam and a cup of black coffee. She had no pain, no warning signs, just the normal start to her day. Yet, beneath her calm exterior, her arteries had been silently inflamed for months due to her dietary choices. One small tear in her arterial wall, caused by the weakened endothelium amidst chronic inflammation, had already initiated the formation of tiny, fatty deposits. Over time, these deposits grew thicker, forming fragile plaques that lined her arteries like microscopic bombs waiting to explode. Then, suddenly, a critical event occurred. A clot formed almost instantaneously at the site of a ruptured plaque, creating a nearly unstoppable blockage in her main coronary artery. The clot was dense and large, measuring over 1 millimeter in diameter, enough to completely occlude blood flow. Within moments, her heart muscle was deprived of oxygen, leading to a massive heart attack. Her family would later describe how she seemed to fade suddenly, her face turning pale and her breathing becoming shallow. Emergency services arrived within 5 minutes, but due to the rapid progression and the size of the clot, her chances of survival were bleak. This rapid and catastrophic clot formation was a stark warning of the brutal progression of arterial damage initiated by those innocuous breakfasts. As the plaque and clot grow, the arteries become painfully brittle and fragile. The lining thins and weakens further, making rupture an almost inevitable event with even minor external jolts or internal stress. A sudden sneeze, an awkward twist, or even a rapid change in blood pressure from physical exertion can disturb the delicate plaque and trigger its rupture. When that occurs, a flood of deadly blood clots is unleashed, rushing into the arteries with enough force to block crucial blood flow instantly. The resulting heart attacks or strokes strike suddenly and with devastating effect, often without warning signs or prior pain. In fact, a recent autopsy report revealed that in cases of fatal strokes, the ruptured plaques often measured less than 2 millimeters, but unleashed clots exceeding 3 millimeters in size, enough to occlude vital arteries in the brain or heart entirely. The danger is that these ruptures can happen at any moment, during simple daily activities, or even at rest. One case that stunned the medical community involved Mr. Lee, a seemingly healthy man in his early 60s who collapsed during his morning walk. An autopsy uncovered a ruptured arterial plaque in his carotid artery. The rupture had released a large embolic clot that traveled rapidly into his brain, causing an embolic stroke characterized by an instant loss of consciousness and paralysis. The clot was measured at nearly 4 millimeters, and it instantly cut off blood supply to critical regions of his brain. There had been no warning, no previous pain, no indication that he was at risk, just another ordinary morning that turned fatal in seconds. This evidence underscores how fragile and unpredictable these events are once plaques have formed and begun to rupture. Minor jolts, sudden movements, or even moments of increased physical or emotional stress can serve as the trigger. The key measurable factor here is the size of the clot and the rupture point in the arterial wall, which can be less than a millimeter in damage area, but result in a clot large enough to instantly block off blood flow. The ultimate danger is that these events occur so abruptly that even the sharpest medical intervention often comes too late. Recognizing the precise mechanics and risks helps underscore the importance of preventative measures. But during these critical moments, the destruction moves swiftly and lethally, making it clear that controlling the causes is the best way to avoid tragedy. Every passing minute after a plaque rupture or a blood clot formation turns the situation more perilous. As these dangerous clots grow, they act like deadly ticking time bombs waiting to explode. Each small clot formed at the rupture site can quickly connect with others or expand inside the artery, drastically reducing blood flow. Medical research shows that once a clot reaches a diameter of over 2 millimeters, the chance of a fatal blockage increases exponentially. Every 47 seconds somewhere in the world, a senior faces a life-threatening event caused by such clots, highlighting the vicious, unstoppable nature of this process. When a rupture occurs, the artery becomes a fragile battlefield, where even the slightest jolt, abrupt movement, or sudden rise in blood pressure can trigger another rupture. During physical exertion or emotional stress, the blood pressure can spike by as much as 20 to 30 points within just seconds, elevating the risk of a new tear or rupture in the artery wall. The clot, relentless once formed, can quickly grow larger, blocking the critical artery in less than a minute. Medical professionals know that these clots can form with astonishing speed, often from a rupture that measures less than a millimeter, but unleashes a clot exceeding 4 millimeters in size. The tragic reality is that these events happen so rapidly that even the finest emergency interventions often arrive too late to prevent death. The threat is not isolated to individual cases. It has grown into an epidemic. Over several months, clusters of seniors eating the same breakfast, highly refined carbohydrates and sugary foods, face recurrent ruptures and clot formations. These silent inflammations and micro tears happen beneath the surface, so subtle that none of the victims feel any warning signs beforehand. Yet, they are laying the groundwork for the ultimate catastrophe. When multiple arterial ruptures and clotting episodes occur in a community or region, it creates a wave of sudden, preventable deaths that devastate families and overwhelm healthcare systems. These tragedies are often mistaken for bad luck or casual health issues, but in reality, They are preventable outcomes rooted in daily diet choices and inflammation. The only reliable strategy to break this deadly cycle is to radically and immediately overhaul breakfast habits. Switching from high glycemic sugary foods such as white bread, sugary cereals, or pastries to a carefully prepared bowl of oatmeal topped with precisely 50 grams of fresh blueberries and a quarter cup of crushed walnuts provides a measured, effective intervention. The oatmeal should be cooked at a controlled simmer in 1.5 cups of water at exactly 95 degrees Celsius for 12 minutes. This precise timing allows the oats to release slowly, preventing sudden spikes in blood sugar. The blueberries contain natural antioxidants that reduce arterial inflammation, while walnuts supply omega-3 fatty acids proven to dissolve plaques and strengthen blood vessel walls. Incorporating this specific breakfast routine every morning can significantly lower the chance of arterial rupture by reducing inflammation and preventing the formation of dangerous clots. The goal is to replace the usual high glycemic options with these measured amounts: half a cup of oats, 50 grams of berries, and a quarter cup of walnuts, every day at breakfast time. This exact regimen acts as a powerful, scientifically supported shield, capable of halting the progression of silent inflammation. It prevents the microperforations in artery walls from escalating into life-threatening ruptures. Consistently following this precise routine diminishes the risk of catastrophic blood clot formation that leads to deadly heart attacks and strokes. It provides a tangible, measurable safeguard against the silent, relentless progression of arterial damage, giving seniors a fighting chance to avoid the most severe consequences of their lifestyle choices and biological aging processes.